Bonjour, fellow kaiju enthusiasts. I cover two types of monsters on this channel, the ones most Tokusatsu fans have heard of, and the ones most Tokusatsu fans have not heard of. This fish monster from Ultraman 80 who we're covering today falls into the latter category, but I think you and I are going to have a fun time studying it nonetheless. If it weren't fun, I'm sure this class would Anguirus. Oh, that's the kaiju's name, by the way, Angoras. Time for a deep dive into the history of this deep-sea monster. It seems that barely any behind-the-scenes info about how Tsuburaya Productions brought this fish beast to life has survived, but here's what we do know. Tsune Saburo Terajima reportedly was the name of the kaiju suit actor, and either Kaimai Productions or Cosmo Productions likely constructed the suit, as they are listed as the two companies that handled monster modeling for this show. I was able to find a very zoomed-out image showing what I think was Anguirus' concept art, which was reportedly done by Osamu Yamaguchi. Here are the concept art and the finished suit side by side. The final version kind of ended up looking like a fish Muppet.
It's too dry in there.
My guess would be that scriptwriter Toshiro Ishido, who wrote the screenplay for the episode Anguirus appeared in called I Caught a Strange Fish, either created the creature or at least contributed to how it ended up. The kaiju's name, Anguirus, I think could come from the English word anglerfish, which the beast somewhat resembles in addition to a monkfish or catfish, and the name could possibly be a reference to the much more famous monster Anguirus from the Godzilla series, or a combination of these. That's all ultimately speculation though. The name sounds a lot like Anguirus from Ultraman Mebius, but even in Japanese their names aren't exactly the same. And that's it for what I was able to dig up for real-world information on this creature. If you know anything else, feel free to write it in the comments section below. Next up, we have Anguirus' in-universe history. Episode 34 of Ultraman 80 actually featured two Anguirus, a baby one and an adult one. It seems that these two people ended up catching the baby Anguirus one day, and then this child named Osamu, who wanted to prove to his friends that he could catch a big fish but ended up catching nothing, decided to take the Anguirus home and pretend he caught it. Moments after Osamu took the fish, Takeshi Yamato of UGM, who was patrolling the area due to the presence of Sigma electromagnetic waves, showed up and actually saw the tiny kaiju but just assumed it was some normal, non-kaiju fish, when in reality it was one of the sources of the EM waves. The kid took the big-eyed fish home and put it in his saltwater tank and started bragging to his friends that he caught it. They were somewhat skeptical, but ultimately Osamu was awarded with a belt with a fish on it. He didn't feel good about his lie, though, and the thought of it kept him awake that night, which meant he was awake when several splashing sounds came from the direction of the tank. He went to investigate and saw a creepy shadow of the little Anguirus on the wall, and then when he approached the tank, he saw that the fish was now a lot bigger. Too big for the tank. He also thought it was acting weird. Meanwhile, UGM was still trying to figure out what the deal was with the electromagnetic waves, and learned that in addition to the big source of them they were tracking, a weaker source had now sprung up in the area where Osamu lived. They spotted Osamu when they went to investigate, and wondered why he was out late at night. It seems he was trying to get rid of his Anguirus by dumping it in some pool of water, but he spotted UGM and tried unsuccessfully to sneak away, though they did let him leave without checking what was in his bucket. Either the next day or sometime later, Osamu's friends headed to the same rocky shoreline where he had gone fishing to try and catch the same kind of fish that he brought home. Well, they caught one all right. It was the parent Anguirus, whose head was tangled with wires from when different people had accidentally hooked it. Anguirus stared in the direction of Osamu, who thought the fish was looking at him knowing he took its kid, and apparently he was right. Anguirus made its way toward the shore, and UGM rapidly made their way over to try and fight it off. They flew around basically just examining it for a few shots, and then fired at the finned creature, which made it wiggle its eyeball, and then sink below the water, which surprised the defense team for some reason. It lay in waiting on the ocean floor for a few moments, and then when Yamato dove down toward it, Anguirus suddenly leapt out of the water like a regular fish trying to snag a bug out of the air, though fortunately the creature missed. Meanwhile, UGM member Ikeda was finally able to pinpoint the location of the other source of EM waves to be in Osamu's house. As he went in, the other UGM members who were battling the big Anguirus somehow deduced the fish was trying to follow someone on the shore, namely Osamu. Knowing someone was in danger, the captain decided it was time to take drastic measures in the fight against Anguirus and told the team to fish it up, using a hook that lowered from one of their ships that somehow had a gigantic worm on it? What? Where did they get a worm that huge? Is that creature itself a kaiju? Do I need to cover this thing in a video? I have so many questions, and yet the episode doesn't even have the decency to explain where this worm came from. Oh wait, I guess it could be a fake giant worm. Didn't think of that. Still weird they would have that on hand, but yeah, I guess it could be fake. I hope so. I wouldn't want that creepy crawly wiggling under anyone's garden. Anyway, Anguirus fell for the bait and UGM was able to get the hook in the beast's mouth. They tried to pull the super heavy creature out of the water, but moments later he just released the hook from his mouth and the worm was gone. He stole their bait. Anguirus then spat a stream of pressurized water at Yamato's ship, and it crashed into the ocean. The fish then continued to make its way to the shore, but then just kind of floated in place for a while, giving UGM enough time to finally figure out what the monster's problem was and start bringing its child back. But Ikeda wasn't able to get back with the baby Anguirus fast enough because the big one went on the attack again, causing a huge amount of water to flood the coast. Osamu considered giving himself up to the monster to make up for taking its child, but before he could, Yamato transformed into Ultraman 80 to buy everyone time, by trying to lure Anguirus back to the deep sea. Anguirus immediately tried to flatten 80, but the hero dove away, leapt over the fish, and then dodged another fish tackle. Get it, like fishing tackle? The next tackle by the fish actually landed though, and 80 got stuck underneath the giant fish's mouth. Luckily, around that moment, Ikeda and Osamu's mom arrived with the baby Anguirus, and Osamu was able to plop the fish in the water. The baby Anguirus sped toward its parent, and the big one very quickly noticed it. The big and little fish had their family reunion, and Ultraman 80 nodded in approval. Perhaps to show its appreciation, the big Anguirus splashed 80, who didn't really seem very pleased by this. Looking at the fish, 80 pointed toward the deep sea, and the monster decided to listen to him and returned to the ocean depths with its child. Kind of like the ocean version of the ending of the Tarabon episode of Ultraman Tiga. After this, it seems that neither Anguirus disturbed anyone again. Okay, it is now time to discuss all of Anguirus' minor appearances. There, I did it. As far as I'm aware, there are none. So we can now discuss all the Anguirus merch that exists out there that I know of. There, I did it. There isn't any. Yep, if there was a kaiju that ever needed to be placed in my Forgotten Monsters Hall of Fame, it's this fishy fellow. Hope you enjoyed this little kaiju bio, students. If you did, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, and check out my X account, eBay store, and Teespring store. And I think that's it from me, so I think I'm gonna head home now and water my neighbor's garden for him. This has been the Toku Professor, signing off.
The Toku Professor, yard work form activated. Mow for it!
Thank you very much, little Anguirus. I appreciate you filling in for me since I couldn't find the right hose attachment. I'm sure those little tomatoes are now cheery cherries. Forgive the bad pun, I can never help myself. Wait, where are you going? It wasn't that bad, was it? Wormageddon, you say? What's that supposed to mean? Oh. Hi. I was just on my way out. Bye. Ah!